Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Chris Beers. First off, happy 4th of July. People from all over the world are gathering in Washington, D.C., watching the National Parade and enjoying all of the festivities in our nation's capital. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu updates President Biden on a potential ceasefire and hostage release deal, what progress they're making. The 4th of July isn't complete without Nathan's annual hot dog eating contest. We'll tell you just how many hot dogs the winners downed. Want to surprise your guests this 4th of July? We speak with Hall of Fame pitmaster Leanne Whippen to hear her top grilling tips and side dish secrets. A Boeing whistleblower says the plane maker used scrap parts to build some of its jets. How the company responds to the allegations. UK voters head to the polls today to choose a new government. Prime Minister Sunak's Conservative Party is on track to be ousted for the first time in 14 years. Biden was busy this 4th of July, speaking with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The two leaders talked about the latest details to potentially ending the war in Gaza. With Vice President Kamala Harris joining the call, Biden and Netanyahu discussed the latest progress on a possible ceasefire and hostage release deal with Hamas. While Israel and Hamas appear to be close to an agreement, nothing is final as of yet. Netanyahu updated Biden on his plan to send a group to continue the hostage negotiations. The Prime Minister says Israel is committed to ending the war with Hamas, but only after all of its goals have been achieved. In a White House statement, Biden praised Netanyahu for continuing the ongoing negotiations between the U.S., Qatari, and Egyptian mediators. The statement also noted that the national security teams from the U.S. and Israel will meet July 15th. The call precedes a scheduled meeting in a few weeks between Biden and Netanyahu when the Prime Minister visits Washington to address Congress. And President Biden's interview with ABC News will now air as a primetime special. The high-profile interview will be the first televised interview for the president since last week's CNN presidential debate. Biden will be interviewed by ABC's George Stephanopoulos on the campaign trail tomorrow. ABC News says a transcript of the unedited interview will be made available on Friday as well. And a judge has blocked a Biden administration rule that adds gender identity protections to health care. 15 Republican-led states brought a lawsuit challenging the rule. An update on the California wildfires. The Thompson fire continues to burn in Butte County as a heat wave sets in. Officials ordered more than 28,000 people to evacuate in Northern California yesterday. Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency for the area. Authorities say the fire has burned more than 3,500 acres with zero containment. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg tells us more. And we'll move on.
More than 28,000 people were under evacuation orders in and around Oroville, California on Wednesday. Cal Fire says 4 firefighters have been injured out of the more than 1,400 firefighters working under extreme heat. The agency said 8 helicopters, numerous air tankers, and nearly 200 fire trucks were on the scene. A Cal Fire spokesman says it will be a challenging week.
Triple-digit heats, red flag warning, heat warnings, and July 4th. And unfortunately, people are going to use fireworks. 95% of fires in California are human-caused, therefore preventable.
State officials say the Thompson fire broke out in dry vegetation on Tuesday, about 70 miles north of Sacramento. Cal Fire says the cause is under investigation. The California State Parks has canceled the city's 4th of July fireworks celebration as fire crews try to keep flames from reaching more homes. State park officials said a community fireworks show will be held at a later and safer date. Oroville's mayor said there was a significant drop in fire activity Wednesday and was hopeful some residents could soon return home. The state's largest fire, the Basin Fire, covered nearly 22 square miles of the Sierra National Forest in eastern Fresno County and was about 25% contained. More than a dozen other small fires were active across the state. Authorities are urging people to follow evacuation orders and stay informed through official channels. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
And folks from across the country plan to celebrate the day with some family time, fireworks, and other holiday activities. NTD's Sam Wong was out on the National Mall to find out what makes people proud to be American.
How do you plan on celebrating the 4th of July?
Family and friends, having a picnic by the backyard.
Man, we're going to start off tonight going to DC United game, and then we're going to hit up the Nationals game tomorrow.
I'm going to be going to the Nationals baseball game, and then I'll be watching the firework display at night.
We just had a new family member born into the family yesterday that's at the local hospital, so we gathered and had some time.
We're going to check out some other monuments around town.
We're going to be having a family picnic and watching fireworks together most of the day.
And probably eat burgers and potato salad and celebrate America.
Do a barbecue with family and friends and watch a fireworks show over the bay.
And hot dog or hamburger?
Oh, hot dog. Hot dog for sure. Hot dog. Oh, I feel like the toppings, like the ketchup and mustard, go on better.
Just nothing like a good old hamburger.
Hot dog.
Burger.
A turkey burger is actually really healthy for you.
Burger.
Yeah. Hot dogs are just like reprocessed meat. It's gross.
What makes you proud to be an American?
Well, I think this being American is just fabric of our being. So just be a part of like my family history, who fought in the war, in the Korean War.
Right, just a reflection on the history and the sacrifice that it took to build this amazing place.
I'm glad I have my freedom. I'm very blessed.
Everything that we have and our privileges and rights.
Well, man, greatest country in the world, You can do whatever you want in this country. You can be whoever you want to be.
Just knowing that all my kids, no matter their gender, what they do, will have opportunities available to them.
We would love to move to America one day. He proposed to me in Washington last year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, in July, and now we're getting married in 2 weeks.
Nice.
We came back to celebrate. We love this country, and hopefully we'll be American citizens one day.
Hundreds of thousands of people are gathering at the National Mall to celebrate Independence Day at the annual parade. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley has more.
We're here at the National Independence Day Parade, where hundreds of thousands of people are gathering to enjoy the festivities. Authorities expect 700,000 people to be here at the National Mall today. The National Archives kicked off the celebration earlier today with a reading of the Declaration of Independence and a bunch of actors dressed as the Founding Fathers doing so.
There's so many people here. They had beforehand. They're doing the reading of Declaration of Independence up there. It's so fun.
First time here in DC, for the 4th of July. Super great. Happy birthday, America.
It's been really fun. This is the biggest 4th of July parade I've ever seen.
No, I love it. It's really cool seeing all the different cultures and the different backgrounds coming together, and then also seeing the military march and all the different branches. What do you cherish most about America? I think our ability to have freedom, just for people to express their ideas and their different backgrounds, getting to see protesters voice their opinion, but then also people come together in solidarity for our country. It's just something beautiful that you don't get to see in other countries around the world. Among those groups celebrating American values, one among them is highlighting religious freedom, freedom of belief and speech. They do this through music.
The reason why we're here today is to bring awareness to the Falun Dafa practitioners in China who are being persecuted for their belief. And American values like freedom of speech, freedom of religion are not shared in China. In the afternoon, President Biden's hosting service members at the White House for a barbecue. And in the evening, there's a concert at the Capitol steps, which kicks off at 8 p.m. And the famous fireworks show will also begin right afterward. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Jack Bradley, NTD News.
Tonight on NTD, we bring you a July 4th special close to our hearts. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao and Jan Jekielek, senior editor at the Epoch Times and host of American Thought Leaders, reflect on independence, their personal journeys to America, and what America stands for. You can watch this special co-production by NTD and the Epoch Times right here on NTD at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It'll also premiere on NTD's website at 9 p.m. Eastern. Tune in to get to know us better and celebrate this July 4th holiday with us.
Let's turn the tables a little bit.
Let's do it.
So these are questions that our audience really wanted to ask you.
Independence Day is here, a time for Americans to celebrate their freedom and spend time with family and friends. NTD's Daniel Monahan speaks with Hall of Fame barbecue pitmaster Lee Ann Whippen for some tips on how to throw some magic together on the grill.
Delicious. You should try this.
Lee Ann Whippen has been a pitmaster for about 30 years. She has served barbecue to congressmen and senators, appeared on TLC's Barbecue Pitmasters, and bested Bobby Flay on Food Network's Throwdown with Bobby Flay. She says there's no need to make it fancy for the 4th. Many Americans love some good old-fashioned barbecue grub like burgers, hot dogs, and ribs.
So I like for people to be kind of independent in their choices, so I give them choices. And I'll put an array of different things they can put on top of their hamburgers, be it cheese or, sauteed mushrooms, so they could build their own burgers. And I also like to do, of course, barbecue smoked long cooks like brisket and pork.
The award-winning pitmaster shares a secret to keep the meat nice and juicy.
Another trick that I have is put apple juice into a spray bottle. And when you're cooking meats and they look dry, just spritz it with that, and that will caramelize with your spices and keep your meat more moist.
Whippen advises against skimping on meat quality.
When you're doing ribs, make sure you take that membrane, which is the skin on the back of the ribs off, because that allows your dry ribs to permeate the meat. For chicken, I recommend brining, so that really adds a lot of moisture to your bird, you might say.
One side dish Whippen loves to whip up is Mexican street corn.
So it's real simple. After you take it off the grill, you just slather it with some mayonnaise, and you put Mexican cheese, cotija cheese, if you don't have that, feta cheese, and some cilantro. And then you can take some Tequila spice or even some chili powder and sprinkle it on top, and you've taken your corn to the next level with not a lot of work.
The Hall of Fame barbecuer is definitely the right person to ask about side dishes. She won first place at the World Food Championships with her potato salad.
So potato salad is a very traditional side in barbecuing and on the 4th of July, but you can make it a little, like step it up a little bit. And I like to add a lot of bacon and hard-cooked egg. And I think that really elevates it to the next level.
Whippen discusses her secret weapon when battling in the barbecue pit.
My pig powder, and this is a rub that my dad developed. It won Best Rub on the Planet, which is a very large award. A lot of the guys on the circuit use it in competition.
Her dad is barbecue legend Jim Trim Tab. The pig powder is a well-guarded family recipe and can even be used on other foods like French fries and baked beans.
As you fire up your grill this July 4th, remember these tips from a barbecue master to make your celebration unforgettable. Happy Independence Day, Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
A Boeing whistleblower says the plane maker used scrap parts to build some of its jet. The company hasn't denied the allegations. We'll have the details on that story and more after the break.
The glory of piano masterpieces from the Baroque, Classical, and Romantic periods. New Tang Dynasty Television invites you to join the 2024 NTD International Piano Competition. Together, we preserve and revitalize the art of authentic classical piano music. October 14th to the 19th at the Kaufman Music Center in New York City. Apply now at piano.ntdtv.com.
This is such a gentle painting, so beautifully portrayed.
A group of people reading together in this simple, everyday-looking living room. A young girl reading along with an adult, a grandparent sitting in the lotus position, a businessman in his typical suit.
You see all those people, they look like they have quietly settled down there. And you as a viewer, it looks like you've just stepped in the door.
You can't see what it is they're reading, so you're a little bit curious and you're kind of invited to walk in.
This harmonious feeling is not by accident. It is the very subject of the work. The book they are reading is the main text of Falun Gong, which is an ancient Chinese spiritual discipline in the Buddhist tradition. At the core of Falun Gong are the values of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Unfortunately, the practice is banned in China, where the artist resides. Thousands have been killed for their faith. Golden energy blooms into the room as a result of their steadfast faith. The painting on the back wall reminds us of this work's title, Plum Blossoms in a Muddy World.
It's also a metaphor for the practitioners that are sitting in the room as plum blossoms.
They signify perseverance and hope that all brutal winters end and life is renewed once again.
It's a magical painting.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
Welcome back. A Boeing whistleblower says the plane maker used scrap parts to build aircraft. Here is NTD's Don Ma with today's Business Matters.
Thank you, Chris. Two of the most popular high-end department stores are joining forces. So the parent company of luxury retailer Saks Fifth Avenue agreed to buy Neiman Marcus. The deal is expected to be worth about more than $2.5 million. And the merger comes years after the Neiman Marcus filed for bankruptcy during the pandemic. The CEO of Saks parent company HBC told the New York Times that the deal will emphasize market demands for selling luxury products in beautiful stores by salespeople customers trust. So the new group will be known as Saks Global. Company leaders say going forward, Saks Global will invest in technology, including artificial intelligence, as well as both legacy and emerging brands. Meanwhile, Tesla cars are on the Chinese regime's purchase list. Specifically, Tesla's best-selling Model Y was included in a list of electric and plug-in hybrid models that a local government in China can purchase as a service car. So this is according to the official Chinese media outlet. It was the first time actually Tesla's cars have been made eligible for official purchases in China, the paper added. And finally, a former Boeing inspector alleging scrap parts were used on the assembly lines at the 787 Dreamliner factory in Everett, Washington. Merrill Mayers worked as a quality control manager at Boeing for 30 years. He estimated that beginning in early 2000s, about 50,000 parts that were deemed unsuitable to fly were taken out of an internal scrapyard and used to build aircraft. And he says those parts range from small items like screws to more complex assemblies like wing flaps. Mayers claims it was done in order to meet production deadlines. He also believes the practice of using unapproved parts on assembly lines is still going on based on conversations with current employees. Mayers repeatedly emailed Boeing's corporate investigative team about the issue, but he says the investigators routinely failed to enforce the safety rules. In a statement, Boeing says it investigates all allegations of improper behavior and makes improvements when appropriate. However, the company did not dispute Mayer's allegations. That's all from me, Chris. Back to you.
Thank you, Don. Today, millions of voters cast their ballots in the UK's first July general election in more than 80 years. This is a crunch vote for Britons to decide who'll run the country for the next 5 years.
The general election will decide if the Tory incumbent remains in the top job or the Labour leader enters Downing Street. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and his wife Akshata Murty arrived hand in hand at a polling station in his Richmond constituency. He hopes to be returned to Parliament as the MP for Richmond and North Allerton. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer was also joined by his wife Victoria as he visited a polling station in his Holborn and St. Pancras constituency. Other party leaders have also cast their votes, with Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey and his wife Emily visiting a polling station in Surbiton. It's the first general election where voters will need to show photographic ID before they can receive their ballot paper, following a law change in 2022. Various polls have indicated a landslide for the center-left Labour Party. Voters appear to be turning their backs on the Conservatives, also called the Tories, after a period of infighting and turmoil that led to 5 prime ministers in 8 years. An exit poll published shortly after polls closed this evening will provide the first indication of how the election has gone on a national level. Detailed results will follow early Friday morning.
Voters in France are preparing for the runoff parliamentary elections this Sunday. Polls from last week show the National Rally heavily favored to win, but the latest predictions show this is no longer the case. A coalition of other political groups could prevent the Nationalist Party from winning enough seats in Parliament to run the country. NTD's international correspondent David Vives has the details.
The possibility of governing the country might be slipping away for Marine Le Pen's National Rally, as polls predict she can't get the absolute majority in the parliament. The latest polls show the National Rally could get up to 220 seats in parliament. Last week, some polls showed this number could be up to 295 seats. This comes after candidates from different political groups withdrew and announced they would not participate in the second round of elections. France's parliamentary elections involve multiple candidates in 577 areas of France. Around 220 candidates have withdrawn and called on voters in favor of the main challenger of the National Rally. In other words, the National Rally group is facing opposition from almost all other political groups.
There is indeed a mobilization of the entire political class to block the National Rally, and we have the impression that, from the right wing to the far left, they are trying to maneuver against it.
Marine Le Pen says on Thursday that the National Rally is facing a one-bloc party that includes right-wing, center, left and far-left groups all together. For policy analyst Olivier Piacentini, these moves from all political parties have shown the true nature of this election.
The bottom line is that it's the patriots' fight against the globalists. It doesn't matter whether you call them globalists or something else. In order to fight against the patriot upsurge, ideas like the return of nations, the return of borders, which is the real opposition to the current system, all the other political groups are prepared simply to mess things up and to block anything that might even call into question European integration.
He says polls might be wrong in their predictions, as it's hard to think that right-wing voters will indeed vote for left-wing candidates and vice versa.
I think there really is a desire from the people to break up this system. I honestly think that a lot of people today want to take action, simply because Macron has been rejected on a massive, massive scale.
The second and final round of parliamentary elections will be held on Sunday, July 7th. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
No New York City Independence Day celebration is complete without some friendly competitive eating. NTD's Fiona G was at Coney Island to see just how many hot dogs a human stomach can, well, stomach.
It is the 4th of July, the day we celebrate the birth of America and its promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and hot dogs. I am here at the Nathan's annual hot dog eating contest.
Some encouragement, ladies and gentlemen.
In the women's competition, Miki Suda won her 10th hot dog championship. She ate a whopping 51 hot dogs, becoming the first woman to break the 50 hot dog threshold and beating her personal 48 hot dog record.
Female in the world, Miki Suda.
Still undefeated, so this one's a huge milestone. I think what it means for the women's contest is we're just going to see the women's record increase. And even after 10 years in the game, I still have more to give. And next year, I hope to put up bigger numbers.
2, 1.
In the 1-gallon Nathan's Lemonade chugging contest, rapper and competitive eater Badlands Booker set a new world record, downing the giant jug of juice in just 21 seconds. Reigning champion Joey Chestnut didn't compete this year, much to the chagrin of fans, but the show must go on. After a 10-minute chowdown, Chicago's Patrick Bertoletti took home the men's championship with a staggering 58 hot dogs eaten.
Patrick, how do you feel? Incredible performance. I've never seen you so in sync. How do you feel?
It was all focused today, no mohawk, just hot water, and I wasn't going to stop eating until the job was done.
Ladies and gentlemen, the number 9 ranked eater in the world, that's going to change today. 275 jalapeno peppers and 58 hot dogs and buns, Patrick Bertoletti.
The 2024 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest might be over, but there's still plenty to do this 4th of July. So if you've got some free time on your hands today, come on down to Coney Island, grab a hot dog, and have some fun. Reporting from Coney Island, New York City, Fiona G., NTD News.
58 hot dogs. Wow. Thank you so much for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Chris Beers. We will have more stories from the U.S. and around the world. Join Tiffany Meyer for the NTD Evening News at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.